Hey guys, Samp here from Samp and Chance. And before we get into this interview today with WWE veteran Jimmy Korderas, 22-year ring referee, it's an amazing conversation. Can't wait for you all to hear it. But before we do that, I was so excited to do this interview. I forgot to mention a couple of things. One, we are a part of the WSN Network, the Wrestling Society Network. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an amazing place. So many podcasts, so many different views, so many different takes, so many different angles. If there's something you're looking for, you'll probably find it there. Documentaries, podcasts, TV shows, game shows, you name it, everything. We're available on Roku. We're available on Apple TV. You can find the app on Patreon now. So, I mean, for a cup of coffee, less than a cup of coffee these days, man. I believe in Canada here, Tim Hortons just upped the price of their coffee, but Patreon still pretty cheap. Get on there, check it out. Some really great content, more content coming on the way as we build up this beautiful, beautiful platform. Also, big shout out, very big shout out here to one Jordan Wombell from One Breezy podcast out of the UK for facilitating this conversation, for making it happen, for making the connection happen. The connection happened, and Jimmy and I took over and did the rest. But a big shout out to Jordan Wombell. Check out his podcast. Great interview, great content. You'll love it. He's also part of SN as well with us here. So make sure to check us all out. And a big shout out to Jordan. Thank you very much. A big shout out to Jimmy for taking out the time and making this conversation happen. To sit back, relax, and thank you for letting us into your ears. Stamp out. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp and Chance. I am your host, Bobby Sampson. Mr. Michaels is on assignment. So it's just me and my guest today, ladies and gentlemen, 22-year veteran of the WWF, WWE. I am so honored and so privileged to be sitting, well, beside this man in some form or capacity, Mr. Jimmy Korderas, referee extraordinaire. Jimmy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join me today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for asking. And boy, what an introduction. I need to hire you.
Please, I'm more than willing to do that for you, sir. Very simply, I'm going to ask you straight up, and your story, your career expands decades and generations. One can argue that you were a part of the next generation. Then you were a part of the Attitude Era. Then you were a part of the Ruthless Aggression Era,
Right.
which kind of led into whatever the 2010s became. So you sat through three, four different eras of wrestling. You also sat through a time where kayfabe was still very strong
hmm
and very prominent. You saw everything, Jimmy. Like at one point, do you sit back and go, "Wow," or has that already happened?
No, it already happens. It almost happens daily because I get reminded of certain things in certain matches, for example, that I worked in and eras that I worked in. And I think back and I said, you know what? For someone who grew up as a huge wrestling fan and never had any expectations of getting in the business, man, I was blessed to have the career I had. Um, you know, when I first started, it was one of those deals where, people ask me, they say, did you want to be a referee? Did you want to be a wrestler? Did you want? And I said, no, I didn't have any of those inclinations. I just wanted to be a part of the business in some form or fashion. I loved it so much as a kid and
Mhm.
growing up into my teens and actually going to Maple Leaf Gardens where we had shows running every 3 weeks. I mean, like it was like clockwork every 3 weeks, but I didn't realize at the time that they would do Maple Leaf Gardens on Sundays, but they would do TV tapings in Brantford, Ontario
Mhm.
on the Mondays.
Mhm.
If I'd have known that, I probably would have been driving out there as well. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize that until I started working for Jack Tunney.
So let's go back for a second there because you kind of answered some of this already, but I like to word this question in such a way. Did wrestling find you or did you find wrestling?
I found wrestling as a youngster as a fan,
Sure.
and then through circumstance, it found me.
Right.
It was almost like it was meant to be because here in Toronto, we used to get so much wrestling on television on the weekends. On Saturdays, it was all day long. Obviously we'd have Maple Leaf Wrestling on the local affiliate. We would get Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling from a Buffalo affiliate. We would get International Wrestling from Montreal. We would get Calgary Stampede Wrestling on an affiliate from Barrie, Ontario. AWA Wrestling. It was just on all day long, and I would just sit there and watch it to the point where my mom would say, go out and play, go do something. I said, no,
Right.
wrestling's on. I'm not going anywhere. And,
Right. Right.
and then of course, being here in Canada, in the evenings, Hockey Night in Canada would come on, my Maple Leafs would come on, and my dad and I would sit and watch it. And then after Hockey Night in Canada, at like 10:30 at night, we'd actually get All-Star Wrestling from Vancouver,
Right.
where I remember guys like Eric Froelich and actually Roddy Piper before he,
Hmm.
you know, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Michelle Starr used to be up on there as well.
yes, yes,
One of my favorites, and I don't know why I remember him, the frog. I just there was this one character, the
yes,
frog. He was just,
yeah.
but you guys were lucky out back east because you did get more wrestling content than we did out here on the west growing up as a kid. In Vancouver, we got Stampede, absolutely. Us, we had All Star, which was taped at the BCTV. A hotbed in the east more so in the west because of the access that you had to a lot of those shows opposed to what we have in the west.
I think that maybe it was part of it,
Mm,
and the other part too is, it's the perception stories. It was it was a different era because obviously we know it now. Everybody's talking about there's no territories anymore. Companies go everywhere. The only thing that you can consider a territory is some independent wrestling promotions that stay kind of within their boundaries,
mhm,
and that's more financial than anything else because I'm sure if those some companies like I know CZW travels a little bit,
mhm,
MLW, NWA they do, but of course they have budget constraints. They don't have the budget of an AEW or a WWE.
mhm.
But again, going back to your question, I think again the perception it was either the East Coast, that hub that I just described, or LA,
Right.
and everything in between was considered in some people's eyes not true, but considered not as big.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jack Tunney, he was my president.
Yeah.
He legitimately was my president growing up as a kid when it came to anything WWE.
Mhm.
Um, how strong, how influential was that Canadian team in making the WWF WWE what it is today? How do they get enough credit? The Jack Tunney team, the whole team back there, Cops Coliseum, Maple Leaf Wrestling. I mean,
Mhm.
Vince really took advantage of the Canadian side of the business. He really did. How
Mhm.
influential was the Jack Tunney, the brothers, and everything else to what we're seeing today? Do they get enough credit?
I don't think they do
Mhm,
because for the WWF at the time, WWF to come into Canada, I don't know if they necessarily needed, but they wanted a Canadian office
mhm.
to handle things because across the border, different things.
Sure.
So Jack Tunney being the largest promoter in Canada, they worked out a deal. They did their deal, and Jack became, the figurehead president of WWF, but he also controlled the Canadian market. He was their liaison here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but without that Canadian office, I don't think we would have the presence of the Canadian talent that we got in the WWE.
Mhm.
Guys like Bret Hart, I don't know if they would have had that opportunity without the Toronto office because those guys would come in from Calgary. You know, then you have people like that trained under Ron Hutchison, guys like Adam Copeland and
Christian.
Christian and
Rhino.
Test, and and eventually Lance Storm. I think the Canadian office helped facilitate the Canadian talent to get noticed by the WWE office.
Hmm.
Because and then later on, not only Jack Tunney, afterwards Carl DeMarco, they would send tapes to the office. Hey, take a look at this guy. You got to take a look at this guy.
Right.
So it helped facilitate a Canadian presence in the WWE.
Right. Now, as a referee, how did you become like? I know you were trained. Just looking back, fish that I
Talk to you. Like when I refereed my first match, I had no training what at the time they had told me Pat Patterson had told me to get, the black pants, the black sneakers, the blue shirt and the bow tie,
sure.
and to carry it with me at all times. But it didn't clue in enough in my brain to say, hey, let me go talk to the other guys and see what I'm supposed to be doing when I do eventually referee.
Hmm.
So I got thrown to the wolves just a match where Chief Jay Strongbow comes up to me at a house show in Newmarket, Ontario, and says, "You got your gear with you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Put it on. You're reffing tonight." And I'm not going to tell him, well, I don't know what I'm doing.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
but thankfully, the match had SD Jones versus Jose Luis Rivera, who I
Yes.
knew very well. SD, I told him that I was refereeing his match and I didn't know what I was doing. And he says, "Well, just stay close to me. I'll talk you through it." And then after the match, I managed to get through it. I was probably walking around like a robot, but you know, of course, you're thrown to the wolves like that.
Sure.
But after the match, he sat me down. He says, "See, now you understand. Go to the veterans, go to the guys, and ask them questions. Ask them how this works.
Hmm.
What are my duties? What am I supposed to do other than just standing there waiting to count three or something like that? There's a lot more involved because we're going to count on you too to help us out." And I'm thinking, how am I going to help them out? But once I started, it takes a while. It doesn't just come to you like that.
Sure.
But once I realized that there was so much more involved with being a referee than going through the motions,
Hmm.
um, that's when I realized also it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you're always learning. There's
Hmm.
some little tidbit. There's a lot. You got to be a sponge. You can't just sit there and say, "Well, I got this." Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic. So I want to ask, when you started referring to where refereeing is today, did you guys always have the earpiece, or did that come later on?
No, that came later on because when I first started refereeing on television, we used to get our time cues from the timekeeper at ringside.
Right, with the hand signal or something.
Yeah, they'd give us hand signs for times, and if you were running long, he'd grab the pencil that he had, he'd put it in his mouth, and if you saw that, you'd have to tell the guy, "Oh, go home. We have to
Go
go
home.
home
Right.
now."
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Fantastic.
yeah, so um, it was challenging, but at the same time, once we got the earpieces, they were both a blessing and a curse.
I was going to ask that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now they sometimes, it, not all the time, but there was occasions where sometimes the producer or the agent for the match would kind of overdo it. Tell them to do this. Tell them to do that. Tell them to do this. Now, as a referee, I'm supposed to be not no. It shouldn't be noticed by the audience that I'm going over and passing signals to the guy.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? It should look like I got to find ways to do it naturally, where it looks like it's in the process of doing my job,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally gets it. You make it as a part of what you're supposed to be doing without them
Mhm.
knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, if
I get
whether it's like somebody's down selling and
it.
I
Hmm.
go over to check on them and I'm doing the motions where, hey, can you
Yeah.
continue? Are you okay? We got 4 minutes left.
Yeah. 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 Um, I want to touch on something really local here. We recently heard Vince Russo's comments. In terms, I don't know if you heard about any of that when he went off on the referee a couple weeks ago. The black girl, she was a referee for the
Oh,
Nia
yeah,
Jax match.
Daphne.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. flubs happen, things happen.
Mhm.
How would you have approached that situation, and what are your thoughts on the Vince Russo remarks?
I know he blasted Daphne. I see. Yes, you can say that she should have counted three in that situation.
Sure.
But what happened there was it was a snowball effect because it appeared to me when I saw it live, watching it, obviously I went, ooh, oh boy, that wasn't good.
Mm.
And because of all the cameras, everybody sees it now. And of course, people are so negative nowadays. That's the thing they're going to focus on.
And they were kind of picking on her a couple of weeks ago over the death of one of her relatives too, online.
I see that. I don't
Yeah,
get that.
yeah.
I don't get that. What's that got to do with anything?
I it's
People
just
are
the world.
grieving. People are
Yeah,
grieving, and just
yeah.
instead of supporting someone, everybody wants to pick on them for that. But getting back to the
Yes,
the
sir.
situation, getting back to the situation, that all started because it appeared, of course, Jade got busted open
Yeah.
pretty good when she gave Nia Jax that boss man uh, manhandle slam. That looked
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Now, if you go back and watch it, when Jade got on top of Nia to pin her, Nia was looking to her left while Daphne was on her right.
Hmm.
So she's watching to see Tiffany because Tiffany is supposed to come in and make the save.
Right.
Now as a pro, she's paying attention. She says, "Okay, she's going to be late. This isn't the finish." Boom, she kicked out. Now that threw Daphne off because
Mm.
she wasn't supposed to kick out. Tiffany was supposed to come in, make the save, cover herself, and steal the win.
Right.
So now in her mind, well, if she's kicking out of that, Tiffany didn't do anything more to Naya to constitute, you know, the pin. She was expecting another kick out at that time. See, it threw
I get it.
everybody
Yeah.
off the ball. And the other thing too was when she didn't kick out and Daphne didn't count the three.
Hmm.
Now everybody's looking at each other, going, "Oh no, what do we do now?" And that came off on television as well. So it was a snowball effect. It was like you can't pin it on one person. It was like a group. It was a group effort.
Well, I think the general in that match would have been Nia, in my opinion.
Yes.
She should have had, in my opinion, anyways. I think
Hmm.
she should have been able to do a better job of controlling that. Alongside Daphne. I
Right.
feel bad for her because she's taking the brunt of it all. But we got to look at the other
Hmm.
competitors in there. I mean, I've
Right.
always said, and maybe tell me if I'm right or wrong. Wrestling is a dance to me. It takes two. It's not
Yes.
it's obviously it's not a typical fight. You're working together to choreograph and make this thing live up to what it's supposed to be. So
Right.
if your dance partner's stepping on your toes, you can't blame everyone else around. It's a
Hmm.
concerted effort, correct?
Yeah, and you're right. Naya being the veteran in the ring of everyone in there, including the referee,
Yeah.
she's the one who should take charge in that situation and realize if she at least communicate to Daphne, this is it.
Ring generals of the women's division. I mean,
Absolutely.
everyone was, part of my language, shitting on CM Punk and AJ's return and
Hmm.
whatnot. But the one thing I took away from it, AJ looked great, but she looked great because Becky made her look great.
Yes.
This is what I took away from it. Would you?
So you put her in there with someone like a Becky who can control the situation and help her feel comfortable,
Mhm.
and that's what you got. And
Absolutely.
you're absolutely right. It was Becky that kind of controlled that situation, said, probably in the back before, going, don't worry about it. I know you're going to be in your own head, but don't worry about it. I got this. We'll talk. I'll talk you through it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, so let's go back to refereeing. Are referees underrated
I
across the
think
board?
I think I don't know about underrated, but I think underappreciated in some cases, and in other cases, I think there are certain. I hate to do this because I like keeping it positive, but at the same time, there are certain referees out there that I, I I'm going to be honest with you that I don't believe are ready for television
Okay, no, that's
and
fair.
are
That's
are.
fair. Yeah, if there's anyone in this industry who has the right to have that kind of opinion, is yourself, sir. So there's just nothing to be sorry about. You, Charles Robinson, and the Hebner brothers. Whatever
Mm.
you guys say, you guys are the originals. Speaking of Charles, are you surprised that he's stayed on as long as he's has?
To be honest with you, that's the one person I'm not surprised about. I
No.
mean,
Okay.
Charles, he keeps himself in great shape.
Sure.
He, um, and he's always Charles is 100%. A, he loves it. You could tell he loves what
Mhm,
he's
mhm,
doing, and he's one of those guys that he could have retired years ago and been content because he's had a tremendous career.
mhm.
But he loves it so much he just keeps going. And I love the fact because I got a chance to visit with him and the other refs on the SmackDown crew when they were here in Toronto,
Sure.
and I love the camaraderie
Ah.
amongst them.
Mhm.
They are such a tight knit group. They have fun
Right.
together.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I mean things are a little different now, especially under the Triple H regime,
Mhm.
which is a little looser. Back in the day, or it was a little. I don't want to say pins and needles, but there was a little more stressful atmosphere
Sure. Sure.
where you
Now
had to,
let's.
yeah. But the way it is now, I can see Charles doing this for another couple of years at least because because of the atmosphere around there now.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. I think this is something that I really, really would love to understand from your perspective. When you worked in your heyday, the loop was a prominent part of the week to week. You had your
Mhm,
TV Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, whatever the case may be, or
mhm,
whatever day SmackDown was on. You had your two TV days, you had a pay-per-view day in the
right,
month as well. But you had your loop, the house show loop.
right.
We don't really have the house show loop anymore. That being said, how important was the house show loop for talent, for referees to hone their craft?
It was at the time I thought it was essential because the house shows were where the talent would try certain things. Like if you were going to have a program with someone on TV,
Mm-hmm.
you've got the house shows now to work out the kinks.
Mm-hmm.
Where they would go into like let's say night one, you have like three house shows before you go to TV.
Yeah,
So on those three house shows, guess who you're working with? The guy you're going to work with on TV.
sure.
So now the first night, it's like, oh, let's try this, let's try that, we'll see how it goes. And they would gauge. You listen to the crowd because
Mm-hmm.
they're your biggest, feedback.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get a reaction, you don't get the reaction you desired. Guess what? We're not going to do that. Oh, this worked.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do this on television. See if it gets the same reaction. Because sometimes, one crowd to the other,
It can be
it's
varied.
yeah, it can be varied. So
Yeah.
that's where you got to try stuff out, and also you get your reps in. Uh, yes, it is a toll on the body, but at the same time, it helps with your timing. If you're only working once a week, like I said earlier, you can do all the stuff you want in the gym, but that timing of working with your opponent, with that specific opponent.
Right.
Because like I can go, if I'm a wrestler, I can go in the gym and work with a whole bunch of young people to help get me back in shape, or to keep me, you know, to keep me tuned,
Right. Right.
ring aware.
Well, how important was the loop for the referees too, though? We're talking about the talent, but that must have been your time to work out the way you want to deliver things. And, because I guess I'm jaded probably just as much as
Mhm,
you are, if you're not more so than I am. Like I watch wrestling with a different lens these days, right?
mhm,
Like you can see the background. I drum. I'm a drummer.
right.
So a lot of times when I listen to music, I'm listening to the drum beat. I'm listening to how the drums are produced. When I'm watching wrestling these days, I'm not necessarily I'm watching the storyline. I'm
Right.
interested in the moves, but the things that catch my eye is, why is Roman wearing white sneakers tonight
Right.
when he always
Little
wears
things.
black? Right? The little details. Like, you can start to see the transition of a face to a heel and a heel to a face now, because I can see the little things that they're adding, the little elements that they're
Mm.
doing, this and that. How important was the house show for referees to hone their craft? Because you're giving signals, you have to communicate without communicating.
Right.
Like, I understand. Like, I know when they do a high spot, you come over, you grab their arm, you squeeze them, they squeeze back. Everything's okay. I
Mm.
mean, that fourth wall has been destroyed,
Right.
obviously, but how important is the referee's job on the house shows as well? Like, do you feel the flub that we saw? Do you think that would have happened if the house show loop was still prevalent? We're seeing a
Um,
lot more flubs on TV in overall, not just this, in general.
I think
Some are small, some are major, but I
yeah,
pick up a lot of them, and you probably do because we've been
mhm,
watching so long.
right. I think a lot of the things with the errors that are happening, especially on television, is twofold. It's like you said, not getting those reps in, not getting that timing down. That helps essentially. And I think sometimes they're overproducing their matches. They're overthinking everything. They're trying to make things too complicated. Sometimes keep it simple, stupid is the best approach. And as far as your question about is it referees and house shows and how essential that is for them, it is very essential because it helps with your mannerisms, it helps with your timing, it helps you get familiar with the talent, it helps talent getting familiar with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get with them and say, how would you prefer me to do this? And when this situation comes up, how do you want me to handle it? You
Mm-hmm.
know? So again, it's a work in progress. And then when you get it to TV, everybody's kind of on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
They understand. Uh, and the thing is, though, it doesn't matter how in tune you are. Like even like you said, you're a drummer. When you're playing the drums to a song and you've got your bass player and your lead guitar, somebody hits a wrong note,
You hear it?
you hear it. You know what I mean? And you can't
Yeah.
unhear it.
No, you
And
can't.
now
And
and now when errors happen on television because it's so prevalent because there's cameras everywhere. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, they concentrate on that.
mhm.
Certain subsection of fans will, that's their focus. Once it happens, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Look at what happened. Instead of saying, oops, move on.
Well, but that's the beauty of it. Like, I mean, wrestling to me was is a male soap opera,
Yes.
right? My mom watched The Young and the Restless, General Hospital. I watched WWE,
Yeah.
right? And that's it. Like, I mean, I think one thing that I'm kind of looking at doing here at some point is a show about chronological order. So take Adam, for example,
Hmm.
from where he debuted to where he finished, how that whole story arc went up and down to everything. And,
Hmm.
I think that'd be really fun to do with some of these guys. Because, I mean, if you think about it, some of these guys have been through 4 or 5 different generations,
Right.
right? So it'd be really fun. Um, Jimmy, you've been at WrestleManias, you've done them all. Did you get nerves, or at a point was there enough, like, okay, yeah, I'm in front of 80,000 people? Like, I mean, I believe WrestleMania 24, you did Edge
Undertaker, yes.
and Undertaker.
Hmm.
Um, out of all the manias, what was your most memorable? I mean, this is a tough question. I'm putting you on the spot, but it doesn't have to be one. But what stands out for you to this day? Like,
I think
wow, I can't believe I was a part of that.
you just named it.
Okay,
You just named it. Like, I mean, it's the main event of WrestleMania. Even for us as referees, getting to the opportunity to referee a match, especially of that magnitude.
yeah,
You have Undertaker, who is our locker room leader.
right.
And as I tell people, he didn't anoint himself the locker room leader. The locker room anointed him our
Mm,
leader.
hmm.
So that's how much respect he had. And someone like an Edge, who I saw from day one come into the WWE, and we became fast friends.
Hmm.
I guess the Canadian connection it kind of helped, but um, and it was just an honor for me because, especially considering I wasn't originally scheduled to referee that match, so that
Sure,
kind of like um, the fact that they requested me for that match, and
fantastic.
it it blew me away. It actually absolutely blew me away, but it also in my mind, the way I work, because I'm always, thinking this way, it added a little more pressure on me.
No,
Because I
absolutely.
thought, not I wanted to, because I wanted to be there and help them tell their story, because that's what a referee does. I'm
Yeah,
not there to be, you're invisible until you need to be seen, but at the same time you have to facilitate and help them tell their story. And
absolutely.
I just wanted to be there for them, especially considering, Edge was a good friend, and Taker and I got along really well. I wanted to be there for them. And then walking out there, like you said, in front of 80,000 people, you're looking around for a few minutes and you're taking it all in. And you're going, I can't believe I'm here.
Mm.
I honestly can't believe I'm here. And then the music starts for the entrance, and it kind of, now you're focused on, okay, that
Yeah,
all
yeah.
goes away. I'm doing my job. And throughout the match, I can hear them, but
You can't see that.
yeah, it's kind of like a blur.
Absolutely. I want to talk about Owen Hart, if I may, really quickly. I know you've probably been asked at ex nauseum over this, and you were the referee in the ring.
Hmm.
And, what was that day like? I mean, overall, like, I mean, it was what it was. I get it, but you were there in, what was that experience?
Again, it was horrible. It
Mm,
was absolutely horrible. A tragic accident. I mean, the sad part is that that moment, I unfortunately recall it vividly.
yeah,
It's there. It's not gonna, no matter what, it's not gonna go away.
no, I get it. I get it.
But then I think about afterwards. I don't recall a stretch of that time afterwards. It's
Hmm.
weird. I don't know how to explain it. It just, like that was Kansas City. We were in St. Louis the next night.
Yeah,
I do not recall going from Kansas City to St. Louis. I
I
don't
get
know
it. I
how I
get
got there. I don't know if we drove, we flew. Uh, no idea. I just know the next day we were there, and everybody was in complete shock.
it. Right.
Nobody knew how to react. It was something that nobody had experienced before. I don't think in the business. I know that there have been others who have passed away in the ring with heart attacks and that kind of sort of thing that have
Hmm.
happened in the past, sadly. But I can't recall ever hearing anything like this happening. And anybody who knows Owen, I'm going to try and put a positive spin on this.
Sure,
Anybody
please.
who got the pleasure to know him just knew what a gem he was of a
Hmm.
human being. He was a gem of a human being. He was the kind of guy that no matter how much of it, I'm going to say it, how much of a shitty day everybody's having in the locker room, he would
Yeah,
walk in and he just brought a smile to everybody's
he was
face.
that guy. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
guy who lifted everybody up, made everybody laugh.
Hmm.
If you got ribbed, everybody knows that he was infamous for his ribs. If you got ribbed by Owen, it was like a badge of honor.
He liked you.
Yep, yep,
I get it. I
exactly.
get it. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Yeah, let's leave that there. I mean, I know it was a rough day for everyone. Even for us at home watching on television, not knowing. Um, but I mean, I guess that's the business. Do you agree with the show going on, or do you think they should have stopped it?
I'm gonna be honest. No, you should have stopped. And that there are 16,000 people as it continued, I don't think the guys knew exactly what the state was at the time.
I get it.
And
I
then
get
once JR announced it, it was like, okay. But again, I don't agree with it continuing.
fair play. All right, so that brings me to one, Mr. Vincent.
Vince was very animated, especially when he was describing what he wanted,
Mhm.
done. He was a good boss. I never had a problem with Vince. Obviously, every once in a while, something will happen, and you get chewed out a little bit.
Sure.
But that happens in every job. But after that was done, it was done. It didn't linger,
Right.
so to speak. Um, but I never had a problem. I always enjoyed working for him. And I know that's not a popular thing to say nowadays because the circumstances surrounding what's going on today.
Sure.
Uh, but I never saw any of that, so that's not the guy I remember.
Exactly. Well, like
So
I try to
yeah,
separate the athlete or the promoter from who they are in outside of their ring and whatnot. So that's why I asked the question the way I do, because I mean, we can nitpick on the man for everything else,
right.
but who was he in the ring? Who was he like? There's Michael Jackson. His
Hmm.
music is amazing, but I personally question some of his decisions outside of the studio.
Right.
But I'll never compare it to the music and the musician that he was. So I look at Vince. Do you think wrestling needs a little bit of Vince right now?
I don't know if it's him in particular, but someone with the business acumen that he
Vinceism.
has. Yeah, Vinceism. Yeah, as far as the business goes, yes, from the business side, because we wouldn't be here. I don't care what anybody says. We
I agree
wouldn't
with
be
you.
here where we are today if it wasn't for Vince and his
This
vision.
conversation wouldn't be happening right now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Who knows? I might have been like working at the beer store or something. I don't know.
I get it. I get it. I know what you're saying. I totally do. Like he was influential right across the board.
Yes, yes, because he thought outside the box. That old antiquated, oh, stay in your territory. I won't cross into yours. You don't cross into mine.
Yeah.
We'll respect our boundaries and we'll work together. He just decided, you know what? This thing could turn into something huge. And I know others out there say, well, wrestling was big back in the day. Well, in certain territories it was, but it's not like the global phenomenon it is now.
Hmm.
It without WWF and Vince going, national at the time and before going global, you wouldn't have had WCW getting as big as it was, and to the point where Vince actually bought him out. But you know what? They wouldn't have got to where they were. You wouldn't have AEW today, probably not. You wouldn't have the ECW, which precipitated that because we know that Tony Khan was a big ECW fan.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's again the trickle down effect.
Now, speaking of AEW, what are your thoughts on their product? How do you like their show? Do you like what they're doing, or do you feel that they're just kind of spinning their wheels and the inmates are running the asylum?
I think there's a little bit of that. I think in some cases the inmates are running the asylum because the problem I have right now with AEW is not the talent.
Sure.
They have talent, and a
Absolutely.
lot of them. I think they don't have a leader because, like you said, I think there's a lot of talent that are the inmates are running the asylum.
No,
That's why when you don't, uh, sorry to cut you off there.
no, 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 no. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, no, no, don't be. Um, you have your EVPs, your executive vice presidents. Your executive vice presidents and guys in charge should not be active talents because regardless of how they present themselves, what they tell you, there's always going to be a little bit of that ego involved. So they should be people. They've got a whole bunch of people backstage that they should be listening to that have the wrestling acumen to actually just sit everybody down and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is our direction. This is our mission statement. This is where we want to go. This is how we want to present our television show. This is how we want our storylines to progress and stuff like that. Instead of saying, you know what, wrestler A versus wrestler B, that would be a cool matchup. Let's put it on TV without giving a reason. They're starting to get a little better with trying to give us reasons as to why
Yeah.
we're going to have these matches.
Yeah.
But once they get a story, they blow through it in like 2 weeks.
Mm.
There's no long-term storytelling, and people will say, well, what about this story? What about the Death Riders? What about, yes, but those stories, like I'll give you the Death Riders, for example. How long was John Moxley their heavyweight champion?
About 5 to 6 months, maybe.
Okay, during that 5 or 6 months, Was there one person that he had a long time feud with?
The only person, in my opinion, that he should have had a long time feud with, and they kind of did it in a roundabout way, was Darby Allin. That's just my take. But Darby was off climbing Everest at the time,
Right,
right? But
right.
that would have been the long-term story, in my opinion, if they had built it.
Yeah, yes, and now that he's back, that opportunity is lost.
Right. Well, they had their coffin match. Just say, just say.
Yeah, I know, but what point? What was the point now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And this is,
After the
yeah.
fact, you know what I
And
mean?
I agree with you completely. I look at Kyle Fletcher versus Hangman Page. I'm like, and I try to watch it. I really do. Right.
Hmm.
And you know what I tell people? I will always be WWE first
Right,
because that's what I grew up on.
right,
Even during the 83 weeks, as bad as it was up north, I would still tune in to WWE first
right.
and watch
Hmm.
WCW on tape delay. But with AEW, I find that sometimes I go and I watch a match. I'm like, when did this happen? How is this
Hmm.
on the pay-per-view? Like, I don't
Right.
get it. Like, what did I miss? Did I go to the washroom? Like,
Hmm.
it just
Yeah,
happened so
yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Um, I
It's,
remember
it's funny you
reading,
brought up. It's funny you brought up Kyle Fletcher,
yeah,
because here's a guy who is uber talented
yes,
for someone as young as he is.
yes.
But I would love to know who is in his ear right now. Who is there guiding him? Who is there coaching him? Who is there helping him along?
Probably Jeff Jarrett or Tony Schiavone if I had to pick anyone.
I would hope it would be somebody like Jeff Jarrett, but I, I'm not seeing that,
Yeah, okay.
because he's, for as talented as he is, he shows signs of understanding, timing, pacing, and that sort of stuff. But there's other stuff that he does that drives us old guys crazy. You know, that if he, for all, the people that harp on the performance center, like, if he would be able to spend 3 to 6 months in the performance center, psh, there's your next Randy Orton.
Yeah. Well, that was your OVW, right? I mean,
Yep.
speaking of the training center, just having the PC now, how hard is it for someone in the traditional sense of trying to get into the business? Has it become now? Like I almost feel like we're getting a resurgence in the indie scene because of the climate, because of the cost of everything now. I mean, I went to WrestleMania 26 in Phoenix.
Hmm.
That was a little time ago now, but I
Yeah.
was there. I only spent $30 for my ticket, Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's not that long ago. I went to the Royal Rumble in 2019 in Phoenix,
Hmm.
and I walked up because we just kind of flew in and took a shot, and I bought $100 ticket for the floor.
Wow.
At that time,
Right.
I went to a house show here in Vancouver at GM Place,
Hmm.
or Rogers Arena now, as they call it. And
Right.
because we don't get shows here that often, even a house show will sell out a 20,000 person stadium.
Hmm.
We're paying almost $120 a ticket for the upper Bolton now.
Right.
Insane.
Yeah.
Is TKO driving the fans away? The real
Uh,
fans.
see, that's the question that a lot of people are asking. Are they pricing people out of the market?
Oh,
As of right now, at this moment, no, because they are selling tickets, and the market dictates. If they're going to continue to buy tickets and sell out, there's no reason for them to lower prices. Once you start seeing attendance going down, you probably see a little bit of a price adjustment over time.
so the
But
fans need to step up here.
yeah, yeah, if they're going to, you know, if fans want the ticket prices to come down, then they have to speak up by. I would never tell anybody don't show up. If
No,
you
no,
want to
no,
go,
no.
go.
Obviously,
Exactly.
obviously. Yeah,
But the market dictates the price. I mean, like, I'm not a Swiftie.
yeah,
I'm not a fan,
sure.
but I'm impressed with their, you know,
Her demand.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Trust me. She did 3 shows here in Vancouver. My wonderful wife got to go
Hmm.
to the dismay of my daughter. Uh, but she only got the one ticket, right, with a
Right.
friend. And
Right.
even then, both the girls were considering selling them because they figured they could pay off their credit cards.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? Like I paid an upwards of $1,200 for 3 tickets, second row from the top for the Survivor Series.
Wow, that's insane.
That's what it is now. That's what it
Mhm.
is. Back to the house shows, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but this is something I keep saying to people. TKO is complaining about losing money,
Mm.
and they're losing money, but they're making money hand over fist.
Mhm.
How important were the house shows to finance the TV side of things back in the day?
It was different back then because the TV
Okay.
deals weren't, they weren't making the money off of TV that they were.
Hmm.
Now, you know, for example, Netflix, we know what the deal is with them. It's a huge deal that they made. People are now paying for WWE programming. We're back when when you first got on TV, you had to pay for airtime.
Right. No, I get that. Yeah.
And then hopefully make money off the advertising and sponsorship from there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Apparently now that stigma that's attached to wrestling, where that wrestling, we don't want that wrestling. Yeah. They see value in it.
Hmm.
Networks see value in it,
Hmm. No,
and
100%. It's a new.
mhm,
I
it's a new
always
dynamic. Yeah.
I always said I remember when Gretzky was traded.
Mm,
The day Gretzky was traded, I realized right there and then that nobody's safe in the NHL.
right.
The day Vince sold the WWE, I realized, okay, all bets are off. You know what I mean? Anything can happen now. But with that being said, what do you see wrestling as today? Are you happy with the product that we see on TV? Are you happy with the product that we're being given? Being an older fan,
Mm.
doing what you've done for so long, how do you view today's product?
Um,
Do you watch?
yes, I do watch.
Yeah,
I keep up with the product to do my shows, my
sure,
podcast as
sure,
well.
sure.
Um, I'm okay with a lot of it, but there's some of it when I watch it. Like you said, I have to try and watch with different lens. When I'm watching with my analytical eyes,
Yeah,
sometimes it's a head scratcher. I see things and go, oh, come on. That again, back in my day, that stuff wouldn't have flown. That
sure.
would not fly. And then nowadays, the problem I see is, again, it's the storytelling aspect. Wrestling is always been predicated on having an antagonist and a protagonist, heel, babyface, and clearly defined.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as a tweener.
right.
You know what a tweener is to me?
Mm,
Someone who doesn't draw money.
I got you.
The tweener is the worst analogy that anybody ever, or worst term that anybody's ever come up with, because I think they're getting away in some regards from the basics of what this presentation of pro wrestling is supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? I see a lot, like I said earlier, overbooking,
Mm,
trying to make things too complicated. Especially with these synchronized scenarios that we see a lot of lately, and not just in AEW. It happens everywhere. That let's not
no, no, no,
you know
100%.
pick on them,
It's all
even
about
though
the high spot now,
yeah.
that
See,
viral moment.
high spots do not generate the. It's the wrestling business. You're predicated on making money.
Yeah,
That's what the end game is for any company.
right, right.
So
With social media, though, do you feel that a lot of that stuff is done because they want that viral moment?
that's exactly what's happening with a lot of the talent now. They would rather get that 5 minutes of viral moment on social media, or that 5-star match from somebody, instead of uh, doing what they're supposed to do, is have people talking, have people invested in them. Like, I'd rather be invested in a character that I see on television instead of a twisting, burning 450 hammer phoenix splash, which means absolutely nothing 5 minutes later.
Right, right.
Because it would not even be a finish.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They'd kick
yeah,
out.
yeah. Like, I mean, for myself, I go back to it this way. People go to me, why do you watch wrestling still? Because I love it. I still love wrestling. I
Hmm.
do. I truly do. If I was not happy with what I'm seeing, and I'm not happy, obviously all the time, like
Right.
anyone else. Pardon me, but you have to evolve with this product.
Hmm.
I mean, I come from the rock and wrestling time, man. I was a little kid during the rock and wrestling era. Okay. And
Hmm.
I've watched it evolve, evolve, evolve. If I was going to stop watching wrestling, I would have stopped 20 years ago.
Right.
But I didn't. You evolve with it. So this is what I tell people. You have to evolve with the product. It's not going to be the same. What my father and your father watched is very
Hmm.
different from what you and I
Yes.
grew up on, and very different from what my daughters are growing up on. It's not the
Right.
wrestling, it's different. Yeah. Do I have a time where I really enjoyed it and I was happiest?
Hmm.
Absolutely. But you evolve with the product. What's your message to wrestling
Hmm.
fans in that regards? What do they have to do?
Right. Now you mentioned evolution of the business. There is evolution, but define what is evolution. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think they have a different idea, especially the younger talent today have a different idea of what evolution is. They think evolution is taking that risk that they in the ring that's always been there and
Hmm.
elevating that risk
Right.
and making things flashier.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's a,
Yeah. This is the
mm,
analogy I like using. I don't know. You know, it's like the wheel. When the wheel was first invented, it was made of stone.
mm-hmm,
And then to make it lighter, they made it out of wood.
mm-hmm,
And then all of a sudden, we became rubber tires, rubber wheels.
mm-hmm.
Then it was vulcanized rubber, run flat tires, all season tires, winter tires, all weather,
I
all
get
these
it.
variations of the. But at the end of the day, the wheel is round
Exactly.
because it has to be round to move forward. They're trying to reinvent the wheel. That's not evolution
Mm-hmm.
because it at the end you can play with it. You can kind of evolve your storytelling and evolve the way you tell your stories. But at the end of the day, you still have to have a heel and a baby face for people to get invested in,
Right, right.
and not a cool heel where he throws a line out there that makes people laugh. Stuff like that. You have to
Mhm.
have no redeeming qualities as a heel, and you have to have something about you as a baby face that people can gravitate to.
I get it. I get it. When I think of evolution, I think societal evolution, the people around us, the way
Hmm.
the world evolves, and how the product, because wrestling has always worked around what's happening around the world. So when
That's
I
true.
talk about evolution in wrestling, not so much the inside the ring stuff, but I guess that gets affected because of what people are. Like, okay, for example, I like cricket.
Hmm.
I grew up watching cricket. I can sit there and watch a 5-day test match and not have a problem.
Okay.
Right. I come from a time where you and I probably can sit and watch a full 9 inning baseball game
Hmm.
and go, wow, that was great. We're living in a time now where people's attention spans don't exist to that
Yes.
capacity anymore as well. Right. So, I
Right.
mean, when I talk about the evolution of the business, I guess I'm talking about where society is, what's going on, where people's attention spans are, whatnot. And, I look at the business from that perspective.
Hmm.
That's what I mean, the evolution of it,
Right.
from where it was to what it is to what we're doing today. Um, I don't know if this is to be 100% true, but this is something I heard a little while back when William Regal was with AEW.
Hmm.
He and Daniel Bryan had tried on multiple occasions to bring the younger talent in to come to the ring and work with them.
Right.
And a lot of these talents didn't want to or weren't bothered by getting under that learning tree, especially William Regal. Do
Hmm.
you think that's an indictment of the way society is now with this talent? Because we're thinking, okay, let's look, be honest, right? We're Gen
Hmm.
Xers.
Right.
Most of the wrestlers today are millennial or zillennials now.
Hmm.
And based on how they are raised and based on how their mental capacities work, they almost feel like they don't need to go to those kind of learning trees. Is that fair to say?
I think there's
We're
some
seeing
truth
that in
to
the
that.
product.
I think there's some truth to that. I honestly do. And I heard that story as well. I don't know. Again, wasn't I'm not there, so I don't know
Exactly.
for a fact.
Yeah.
But I've heard the same thing, and I've heard from others that um, there's some that reach out to the veterans and get advice and want to learn, and there are others who unfortunately couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
And that's it's not. I think some of the, for lack of a better term, etiquette
Mm.
of pro wrestling, because back in the day, if you were a youngster, you put in your time.
Yeah.
you had to go in. You there was a I know maybe a little bit of an antiquated hierarchy
For sure there was.
of your status, and if you were a young guy, you showed up early, you never showed up late.
Yeah, shook
You
hands.
showed your respect, and you always talked to the veterans, and you got your feedback and advice.
Yeah,
Now it almost feels like in some cases they're not asking because they feel some guys think they know better.
yeah,
And that's again a reflection on society because and this is not a knock on wrestling fans, but there is a subsection of wrestling fans out there who think they know and understand better because of what they read online.
yeah.
You know, I I, I mentioned earlier I've been a Maple Leafs fan all my life.
Sure.
I'm one of the few people who's still alive the last time they won the cup.
Fair play, fair play.
I think I know hockey, but I don't for a minute think that I could go behind the bench and coach the Leafs to a Stanley Cup.
I get it.
I could sit there and watch a game and say, "Well, that guy missed an assignment. That's what led to that goal." You know what I mean? Especially 2 years ago against Boston, but I'm not going to get into that.
Hey, hey.
Uh, no, but I could see those things. I can notice
Yeah,
those things,
yeah,
but at the same time, I'm not going to be able. I don't think I could sit in a broadcast booth and analyze a game like someone like a Mark Messier could,
sure.
or someone who has been there in the train. And I know people keep talking about, well, you look at some of these guys that are coaches and stuff like that, they were never big draws in the business. Look in the NHL. I'll give the NHL an example again. Most of the head coaches in the NHL, were they top players in their teams?
No, and then the guy who was a top player on his team, or probably the best player ever to play the game, wasn't a great ref or great coach in any way,
No, no.
right?
Those
So
guys are talent. There's a difference between having talent
yeah,
and having the knowledge to be able
to guide someone.
to guide. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely because the way Gretzky saw the game in his mind, he couldn't translate that to someone else to do the same thing,
Yes, some
right?
guys are so naturally gifted they don't even have to think.
Yeah, like here in Vancouver, we're going to get Adam Foote this year,
Oh,
right? We have Adam Foote as our head coach after
mhm,
he went to Philly now.
right.
Talkett.
Okay.
So Talkett's in Philly now. So great defenseman. Let's see
Hmm.
what he does as a coach, right?
Right.
So, go from there. Jimmy, I've been chewing off your. I think we could talk. I could talk to you for hours and hours, hours on end. Um, I would love to have you back on the show if I possibly can, man, just to kind of
Yeah.
talk more and more. There's just so much that I would love to ask you about. But before I go, I want to say that you, in my opinion, were one of the forefathers of modern wrestling podcasting.
Oh,
Because at the
wow.
time, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, because at the time when podcasting started to come out and started to emerge, it was the Law, live
Hmm.
audio wrestling,
Yes.
John Pollock and the boys, and you and
Yep.
Arda.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right? You guys, I'm not saying you put me to sleep, but that's what I put on every Sunday or Monday whenever that show came out.
Hmm.
I love that podcast. I'm sad that you guys stopped doing it. But
Yeah.
from there, we started getting the Stone Cold podcasts, this and that. Jericho kind of came out. Do
Yeah.
you guys feel that you were at the forefront of that industry at the time?
Yeah. I think both John and Donnie and all those guys at the Law,
Yeah.
you know, they're the OGs.
Dude, I was listening to those guys when you still had the telephone walking the talking yellow pages.
Yeah, they're the OGs, and then Arda actually evolved that because when he was at the Score,
Yeah,
and he brought in right after wrestling,
right.
and he asked me to come on. Hey, he wanted to do a segment. Hey, you want to do a thing called Ask the Ref where people can call, and this was a live show where people can call in and ask any questions they wanted and stuff like that. And then it became a regular, and then I said, this is kind of fun. I
Hmm.
thought see, wrestling is also kind of like the mafia.
Right.
Like once you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
as I described in my book, that Bruno Sammartino once told me, um, I'm going to make the long story short, but he said he offered me advice, and I said, would you like some advice? I said, yeah, I'd love some advice. He said, you sure you want some advice? I said, absolutely. Are you kidding me? I would love some advice, sir. He says, get out. I was thinking, what the heck's he talking about? Says you get out of this business because once it gets in your blood, it'll never leave you, and it's been running through my veins ever since.
Mm, absolutely, absolutely. I think you know what that same blood runs through a lot of our veins.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we can't walk. I can't walk away. I've not missed a Raw since
Mhm.
1993.
Wow.
I've been able to watch it all through TSN, through Sportsnet, through
Hmm.
TNT or
Right.
TNT, TNN, whatever it was at the time,
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
the National Network,
The score.
the Score.
Yes.
Right now, with the
Yeah.
advent of how TV works, I can watch it on USA Network now.
There you go.
Back in the day, now it's Netflix. So, I
Right.
mean, we went through a time where the VCR was our DVR,
Yes.
right? So we got it all. Jimmy, where can we find you these days? What are you up to? What are you doing?
Well, like I said, I thought I was retired, so I guess I'm semi-retired.
Sure.
I'm having fun doing podcasts. I'm doing Roughing It Up with Brian Hebner and lead TNA official Daniel Spencer right now,
Oh, very cool.
which is fun. We do that weekly, and I have to shout out RJ because he's the guy who pushes all the buttons. Because without him, I have
Yeah,
no idea what's going on.
right on.
And with Donnie De Silva and I do Huge Pop Radio
Nice.
here in Canada, which we love doing, and we have some great guests. And this recently we had actually after some controversy, Gail Kim joined us for a little chat,
Hmm.
which was kind of cool because it was really she jumped on Busted Open after she made the comments about deathmatch wrestling, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it snowballed into this whole Rio thing. And she was kind enough to come on and talk to us because we've known each other for a long time. So
Oh no,
and
should she be a?
she's I don't know, that's the nature of
I
I'm
think
getting on another tangent here. The
I
nature
look
of
at
social.
Gail Kim as someone who was outspoken and said the things that needed to be said. And unfortunately, at a time, she was ahead of her time, in my opinion.
Yes.
She spoke out on stuff that needed to be said, but we
Hmm.
still lived in a society where you couldn't get away with it the way the voice is being heard now.
Right.
You know, she, in my opinion, is a trailblazer for a lot of that for the
Hmm.
women. She
Absolutely.
doesn't get enough credit.
No, she doesn't.
And if you talk to her, you can tell her Samp said so.
I will. I definitely will.
Absolutely. All right. I tell you what, I'd love to wrap it up here.
Okay.
So you're doing great stuff. How can we find you on your Canadian show? Is that national? Is it on Sirius?
It's anywhere you find your wrestling podcasts on,
Sure.
look it up on we're on the Fired Up Network and find a link. But the easiest way to find us is hugepopradio.com.
Hugepopradio.com. Or
Yeah,
very simply, the way I describe to people now, just Google Jimmy Korderas and everything will show up right there.
there you go.
That's the easiest way to go. Before I end, I like to do this thing. Usually, my partner in crime here, Chance, he usually does this segment called you know, um, the five names. I'm going to
Okay.
shoot out five names, instant reaction, good or bad, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Just want to know what you think, your thoughts are on these guys.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan,
Legend. I mean, we're not again, one of the guys that we're not here. I mean, we talked earlier Vince McMahon, but if Vince McMahon didn't have Hulk Hogan, I don't believe we'd be here.
I always say Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon are Belichick and Brady.
That works. That works.
Without either one,
Yes.
would they have been? All right, Roddy Piper.
Uh, a laugh a minute.
Hmm,
Roddy was just cool. I still have a picture of myself and him up in my office here.
fantastic. Andre the Giant.
Oh, the boss.
Hmm.
Boss. Man, again, I talk about being blessed. I was blessed to get to know Andre and he kind of liked me. So I was very fortunate.
This is a curveball. Joey Morella.
Joey, um,
As a young referee coming in.
yes. I mean, if it wasn't for again, his unfortunate situation, his passing, he would probably be the top referee in the business ever. this industry. You know, again, you talk about people who don't get enough flowers, and Gorilla's one of those guys.
I know 100%. And I only bring up Joey because I don't think people talk about him enough.
Yeah,
You know, watching old shows and stuff like this, does that come into your mind or
yeah. You
yeah?
can't. It's an unfortunate thing. You can't help it, especially when it's people you got to know well. You know, I'll see obviously matches with Eddie.
Yeah.
You know, because Eddie and I had a special relationship. We were really close, and when I see matches with Eddie, I smile. You know, but at the same time,
It
it's
hurts.
it hurts. It
Yeah,
does
I
hurt.
get it. I get it.
Same with Boss Man
Yeah,
with
no,
Ray.
and again, like I said, we could do a whole series with you, Jimmy. But I tell you what, we're gonna stop here. We'll let
Okay.
you get on with your day, and let me get started here and carry on with what we need to get done over here on the West Coast. But Jimmy Korderas, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I hope we can reach out to you again and have you
Yes.
come on for a second time. I think we could do chapters of this. There's just so much I would love to talk to you about. Andre, Gorilla, Jimmy, I mean, we just you know, uh, the whole everything, Ultimate
Right.
Warrior. You lived through it all. You saw it all.
Yeah.
So you'd love to get you back on if you're willing to come back on and join us again. That'd be amazing. But that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have just had an amazing sit down with Jimmy Korderas. You guys can find us on the Wrestling Society Network as well. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show because I was just so excited to talk to you, Jimmy. So you can find us on Samp and Chance on all major platforms. Google us, but most importantly, you can find us on the Wrestling Society Network. We're on Roku, we're on Apple TV, Fire Stick, you name it. Download the app. Great content there, Jimmy. Check it out, the Wrestling Society Network yourself. You
Mhm.
can find Jimmy Korderas on many platforms as well, Apple Music with all the podcasts and everything that he's doing as well. So just Google Jimmy Korderas and you'll find all his links. Very simply, right? I don't know any
Easy.
other way. The simplest way to describe how to find us: use Google and our names.
Easy.
Very
Easy.
simple.
Yes.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bobby Sampson. He's Mr. Jimmy Korderas. This has been Samp and Chance. Everyone have a blessed day and work hard and don't let anyone tell you any different, because anyone who tells you different is because they're afraid to do it themselves or they don't want to see you succeed. Samp and Chance are out.